I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open the meeting to the public at this time. Anybody wishing to address the board may do so.
I'm Bruce Siegman. I'm chairman of the truck committee for the fire department. I just want to give you an update on the truck. It should be here the third or fourth week of November. The committee is very satisfied with the quality of their construction. It's coming along well. Here if you have any questions.
Thank you. No one else? Okay. Close this section at this time. You'll have a chance at the end of the meeting. Minutes of the previous meeting. You all have copies. Is there any additions or deletions?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Menard, seconded by trustee Huckrow. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Bills.
We have no additional.
Thank you, Arsen.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Jefferson, seconded by trustee Menard. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Correspondence? None.
No correspondence.
Okay, reports of the mayor, the board of trustees. I only have one thing on the agenda tonight, and it will be very quick. Remind everybody of fall cleanup. It's next week. This week? This week. Okay, I thought it was a week before Halloween. That's fine. I'm not doing well. I'm not doing well tonight. All right. Remember, dyed leaves, clippings, brush up to 3 inches. That's it. Thank you. Trustee Menard.
My agenda is short also tonight. I just want to remind everybody that this Saturday there will be a power outage from 6 a.m. to approximately noon. That date is October 25th. And if it is raining, we will switch the days to Sunday, October 26th, at the same time, 6 a.m. to noon. And only one other thing, Halloween coming up, and with all the construction going on, I would like to have everybody please be careful on Halloween night driving around. Our Maple Street is still under construction, and please be careful out there. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Menard. Trustee Huckrow.
Thank you. First item was a discussion of fencing at the water tank. Doug, you? No, this was John.
Yeah, I know of it. I don't.
Okay. Well, we'll get to you. We'll get to you in a minute. You should have a copy of the report from Physical Associates in your packet. We're not going to act on this item tonight. There are some different options, and the least expensive option in here is $11,600, and Mr. Carr believes that even that is too expensive. And there still is not a clear definition as to whether or not we absolutely have to have fencing. We would prefer not to if we don't have to, but it appears as though we probably have to. But anyway, we're not going to do anything in spring, so we'll put it on the back burner for tonight.
Doug, you had a comment?
Well, just it's kind of a gray area whether or not you absolutely have to have the fencing. I can tell you from my experience with the health department that they always want fences around tanks to try and provide an extra level of security in case anybody tried to get in them and damage them or whatnot. So it's just, if we choose not to do it, it will be something you'll get harangued about year after year by the health department. So
How about if we put a security alarm system in?
you might be able to argue that where in lieu of a fence we have this infrared sensors, etc. And then that might eliminate that.
We only got 2 doors, 2 ways in.
This isn't a typical design in this part of the country either, you know.
Yeah. So that could be a good alternative to counter that.
Well, anyway, we're not going to act on it, so I just bring it up for information. Doug, water tank update.
Yes, on the water tank project, Landmark, since we last met 2 weeks ago, Landmark has completed all of its interior plumbing. That slab, that concrete floor slab has been placed, and everything's pretty much done except for the final punch list, which John Carr is preparing. And right now, the tank is being filled, and we've got roughly 1 million gallons of water up in the air there right now. And the disinfection has been completed, and we're going to complete filling that tank by the end of the week. And then we have to take some final samples for lab tests, and that portion will basically be done. On the transmission main, since we last met, the transmission main passed its pressure test, and the disinfection test is being repeated, and that's on hold right now while we're filling the tank the rest of the way. But as soon as we get a negative bacterial on the transmission main, then we'll be able to put that section of the project in service. Any questions?
Thanks, Doug. Doug, we have to stand up again. Brief discussion on lining the Civic Center parking lot. Again, we're not going to do anything about it until spring. We don't have any cost estimates yet, except that the mayor believes that we might be able to borrow a lining machine. It will cost us whatever the paint cost is. That's all. Doug, you got?
Yeah, I understand that we overlooked providing parking on the side of the building here, so we will take some measurements and get some suggested lining for you to look at for that portion also.
Okay. Anybody have any comments at this point?
I actually have one question. With the way I'm not sure whether my photocopy was complete or not, but
No.
It was cut off.
I know. But I was wondering whether, I know for the number of spaces they were cut off by the duplicating machine, but I wasn't quite sure if what we're looking at the bottom of this is the road. Is that correct? Because it seems that there's only one entrance. And I was curious as for travel lanes around. Are the travel lanes around the outside?
Okay, yes, the travel lanes are here and here. That's an error in there's another entrance here. This is the exit. And this is the entrance.
Okay, but in other words, there'll be a travel lane on the north side and the south side? Because
Yes.
I know the way,
Travel, yeah.
okay, because now the way, it wasn't clear according to this to
Okay.
me what would happen. So there's a travel lane here, and there's a travel lane over here.
There will be, yeah, there was
Okay.
intended to be travel lanes, so it's like this guy moves over a travel.
Yeah, I think there's some other
It might
spaces
be,
over
though.
here that were on the photocopy.
Yes.
It might be, I believe.
But I
it's
couldn't
on
tell
that.
whether this was,
This
this
is
one
this
also.
definitely the travel lane and this travel lane.
Yeah.
There will be kind of a horseshoe in a sense.
Right, because you want people to be able to get out on the north side, right? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Doug. And my last item is next request an executive session to discuss judicial personnel.
I'll second.
Motion made by John Huckrow, seconded by trustee Menard. Roll call vote, trustee Menard.
Aye.
Trustee Huckrow, aye. Trustee Penfield.
I,
Trustee Jefferson. Aye. And the mayor votes aye.
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, trustee Huckrow. Trustee Penfield.
the first item I have tonight is an update on the repairs to the library. We're in contact with Mr. Stay about the quote that he had given us in order to do the repairs, and weather permitting, he does plan to begin hopefully sometime this week. And again, depending a lot on the weather, whether or not they'll be completed this fall, but he is able to do it. So if you see anything around there, that's what's happening with that building. I want to mention another item that we talked about at the last meeting. We are still in need of volunteers to serve on either the zoning or the planning boards. So if anyone knows of anyone who might be interested in doing that, it doesn't require a tremendous time commitment. It can be very interesting, but we are still really in need of people. And I just wanted to remind you all that we talked about some training at the last meeting as well, and if you're interested in attending, you need to get your name to Carol by Friday. She's going to call you or everyone. Mike, did you hear of anyone else that might want to attend?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't either, so, But I just had a couple of other things too. I wanted to commend the fire department again on their excellent breakfast yesterday. I think that they had a really good turnout. I think it further emphasizes their commitment to the village, and it gives the village a nice sense of community. I think it was very well done, and they're to be congratulated again for that. And the other thing that I wanted to say with construction on Maple Street winding down, I just feel that I've had the opportunity to talk to a number of my neighbors and other people on Maple Street as well, and I really think that the residents of Clinton, Maple, and Liberty Street especially need to really be commended by this board for their patience that they have shown throughout the construction period. They've had to put up with an awful lot, and it's been well over a year now on Maple Street, and I really think that we owe them a real round of thanks for that. So, I know some of them are beginning to feel a little frustrated, but they certainly have shown, I think, extraordinary patience over the course of the year. So,
Over the course of 2 years.
well, certainly since the digging began over a year ago. So I really think that they really are to be congratulated for the patience that they've shown. So I would like to say thank you to them as well. And that's all I have.
Could I,
Yeah, go ahead.
just go back to the library project for one minute? That's just to remind people that any cost that we incur, whatever, I don't know what the bid was on that, 14,000, something like that?
No, not quite.
11,000, whatever it was, anyway, they are costs that we can include in any expenses or any matching shares that we have to have for the downtown revitalization project. So, I don't know.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Kelly.
That's all I have.
Thank you. And you're absolutely right. The people that live in the construction areas have shown some tremendous restraint, I would say. They're not complaining, but we're starting to see a light, so.
Because believe me, it's not been easy. I can attest to that. So, fortunately, yes, hopefully the light is at the end of the tunnel.
Trustee Jefferson.
Doug, do you have anything on the sewer? Sure, on the sewer projects, related projects. Sidewalks on Maple Street are 95% complete. And finally, Luck Brothers has started doing the final round of destruction on Maple Street. And their game plan is that they should have a block done every 1 to 2 days. That is, they'll go in, rip out the concrete, put down the fabric, lay out fresh gravel. And November 1 is creeping up on them, but at this point, we fully expect that it'll all be paid before that plans close in November. And any questions?
Are they fairly consistent with the last timeline that we got, Doug, you know?
I think they did not start when they told us they would start. If anything, I think they're a week off from that. And the only way they would meet the November 1 deadline would be if they doubled up with crews. And right now, I don't see them doubling up, but I still see them finishing it before the batch plants close, which is later in November. And you'll see they'll be doing a block at a time. And then they're really, we can't schedule for them, okay? We can only check the quality of what they're doing. But there's no reason that they couldn't prep one block, start prepping another, and then pave that portion that they already have prepped. So I think you'll begin to see some of that checkerboard type work similar to what we did with the sidewalks, where they did blocks.
So they'll pave in a different section.
Right. That's what I would expect. That's what I would do.
Sidewalks, Doug.
Yes.
I noticed today there's several areas, and I'm only talking small areas, that are not done.
Yes.
And my impression was the sidewalk crew had left here.
Well, anything that's left to be done, Luck is going to do. There are areas I know at the streets where we've got the curbing and everything. Luck is going to do that themselves. And then I understand there's some areas, I think, maybe Brian, where telephone faults need to be adjusted or something, and there's a little bit of work left to be done there too, right?
Yeah.
So my understanding is Luck will be finishing any of
Okay,
that
that's all I wanted to know, because that sidewalk crew had left, so I was just wondering who was going to do it.
I just have one other thing to talk about tonight. I wasn't really going to talk about it, but just briefly going to bring it up, because I seem to be getting a lot of phone calls at home, people coming to my house, and it looks like the local fire district and EMS situation has not really been resolved the way that we hoped it would. So I've talked with Kelly, and it's not really my department, but Dr. Southwick has come to my house, and things aren't working out the way, we'd like it to. So I'm hoping that we could readdress the problem and maybe correct it before, something doesn't work out the way that we hope it does. And the duplication of services just doesn't sit well in our thinly stretched budget. So we only have so much money for EMS and fire protection. So by the end of the year, things are going to change by the end of December, and that's less than 2 months away. So it's going to be here shortly. So I'm hoping that we could maybe go back to the table and readdress this problem. It looks like that the paid EMS workers is just the way healthcare is changing. So I'm not saying that's the way it's going to go, but we're going to need a new ambulance here in the village within the next, probably year and a half. Fire trucks are really costly to everybody. So Dr. Southwick has proposed that Kelly, and I wanted to speak to John earlier today, but I haven't talked to him, haven't been able to talk to him about it. They'd like to just sit down with the village again and see if we can, readdress. So we're going to look into that. And that's the only thing I have to report tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Jefferson. Village Clerk.
The only thing that I have, Mr. Mayor, we're in need of training in a couple areas in order to be in compliance with New York State Department of Labor health and safety standards. Specifically, our employees need training in exposure for control plan for bloodborne pathogens, and also for use of respiratory protection equipment, and also a hazard communication procedure and training. And I've obtained a quote from Mr. Gray from Landrock ENS Consulting. Mr. Gray formerly worked at Wyeth. He recently put on our confined space training, and he has provided a price of $1,950 to work up the various plans and to do the training for our employees. In order to be in compliance with these New York State Department of Labor requirements, I'm recommending, although it's not in the budget, that we somehow find the funds so we can train our employees and be in compliance by the required date as set forth by the Department of Labor.
I'd like to put that into motion.
I'll second.
Motion made, seconded, any discussion?
It's something we really have to do, isn't it, Bill?
We have to do it.
Would you like to pay $100 a day fine for each violation?
Exactly. No.
And it needs to be entirely accomplished this budget year?
Yes.
Okay.
We have certain deadline dates of November. Many of them we've already responded to and we've taken care of, but a couple of these that I just quoted have to be, I believe, by November 26th. So I really was pushing Bruce to give us a figure. What I'm suggesting is the number of, and basically this is for the electric department personnel. We're going to have to plan, we're going to have the training module for both bloodborne and respirator and hazard communication. So while we're doing this, I'm recommending that we make it very similar to what we did for the confined space. There are two 90-minute segments of training for each one, basically 3 hours. And it's not going to cost us any more whether we have just 5-6 people in electric or we have the whole kit and caboodle. And I'm going to have the entire staff be part of that. So when the Department of Labor comes back and hits another department, that will be covered already. So that's my plan, subject to your approval of that.
Just a little background information on that is that the Department of Labor has now decided to do towns, villages, and cities. We've never had this before that I know of. And this guy walked in here and bingo, here they are. stacked that high.
That's all.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, vote by your sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Roseanne?
Just a reminder, taxpayers who haven't paid their taxes as of November 1st will be turned over to the county, so they have 2 days left.
My question to you is, when's your last day of work? Have a good time. Enjoy. Brian? Nothing?
All set?
Lucky? All set? Mike?
Yeah, I just have a couple things. 2 weeks ago, I finished the rest of my code training. Providing I pass the test, I'll be certified. I'm waiting for the state for that. And the second item is, at the end of August, I asked the board about how they wanted to handle the swimming pool issue that I had. And at the time, you decided to table it for further review. I was just wondering if you come to any decisions or recommendations.
We really haven't discussed that. We probably should put that on the agenda, or maybe not on the agenda, but everybody, review it, see where we want to go with it. I know it's a touchy subject.
Well, I just want an answer, that's all. I mean, however you decide, it's fine by me, but
Yeah.
I need an answer.
Okay. Is that it?
Yep, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mike. Open the meeting to the public at this time. Anybody wishing to address the board, may do so. Nobody wants to address the board. Okay, we need a motion for recess.
Second.
Motion by trustee Huckrow, seconded by trustee Menard. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. We're in recess for a couple minutes.